Has it been 4 months already? The second release in the new Larceny Barrel Proof series is here. It's the B520, and we're about to find out if this new release by Heaven Hill is better than the previous release, the A120. In September 2012, Heaven Hill introduced the Standard 92 Proof Larceny to the market as an affordable extension to the wheated bourbons that make up the historic Old Fitzgerald franchise. The name Larceny and key pictured on the bottle is derived from the story of John Fitzgerald, who was believed to be a treasury agent who used his keys to the warehouses to pilfer bourbon from the finest barrels, which were then referred to as Fitzgerald barrels. To hear the full story of John Fitzgerald, check out my Larceny A120 review right here. So similar to the strategy Heaven Hill utilizes with their popular Elijah Craig Barrel Proof line of multiple releases in a year, Larceny Barrel Proof will be released on an allocated basis 3 times per year, January, May, and September. Each release has different proof points and consists of bourbon aged about 6 to 8 years old. The B520 is 122.2 proof and starting to hit shelves now for an MSRP of about 60 bucks. All right guys, so I've been looking forward to trying this one because the A120, while I liked it, I thought there was more room for improvement there. I thought it drank a little too hot. I thought it was missing some of the attributes that make a wheated bourbon what it is. That wheat grain on the nose, the fruitiness. The A120 to me was a lot of peanut and Cracker Jack notes. So let's see if we are getting better with the B520. So let's get on the nose. So the nose on this one is far more in the wheated bourbon category, where the A120, we will do a comparison. It's sitting right here. We'll definitely compare them both real quick, but this one, from what I remember, offers a lot more of a wheated bourbon characteristic. Get way more fruit coming out of the nose on this one. There's definitely like a cherry or a blackberry type thing going on here. You know, your typicals, caramels, vanillas. That Heaven Hill note, that Cracker Jack or that peanut note is there, but it's not nearly as powerful as I remember it on the A120. This one also has a good punch of maple syrup, which I really like on a bourbon. Yeah, some roasted almonds. But yeah, the big difference here is you're getting some of those wheated bourbon attributes. If you've ever smelt a Weller, how light, fruity, some of that graininess comes through. You're definitely getting it on the Larceny B520. So let's go to the palate, see what we get. Ah, there we go. Okay. So this one, it's definitely drinking more like a wheated bourbon to me than the last release. This has more balance of fruit, flavor, the vanilla, the caramels, the spice. That spiciness is still there. Remember, this is 1 full proof point lower than the A120, so it's not a drastic difference in proof, although it does drink a little bit lighter. This one I remember coming in very hot, coming in very punchy with alcohol, lingering around, having a burn to it. This one definitely drinks a little bit softer here. Let's go for another sip. That second sip got even nicer. I mean, right up front, you're just hit with a big burst of caramel, vanilla, and spice. Love the spice here, but then, soon as mid-palate comes, man, does it get all that fruit flavor, that wheated bourbon flavor profile comes through. The fruit, the spice, the caramel, a little bit of a, like I said, like a blackberry, or yeah, a little hint of cherry there too. But yeah, the fruit flavors in here are far more drastic than I remember the A120 being. Let's go for one more sip and then we'll do a quick comparison. Yeah, even on that sip was really good. I mean, it's just, once it hits mid-palate, you get a little bit of that peanut, that Heaven Hill characteristic a little bit, but more of a sweet almond characteristic here. Lingers a little bit, and then the finish is just spice. A lot of sweetness too. Definitely sweeter than I remember on the A120, and also again, it's just drinking a little bit lighter, more that you would assume a wheater would taste like. So I'm gonna get a pour of the A120 and let's do a comparison. All right, so I have both of them poured. Here's the A120, here is the B520. Let's do a quick comparison on the nose here. Wow, the noses are actually pretty different. This one, the A120, definitely has still, even though it's opened up, it has more alcohol punch to it, a lot more nuttiness on the nose, almost comes off more as a Heaven Hill bourbon than a wheated bourbon. And when I say bourbon, I mean a bourbon with a traditional mash bill with rye in there instead of wheat. On the nose on the B5, yeah, this comes off way more as a wheated bourbon here to me. Like I said, that softness, that wheat grain, you could really smell it on the nose on this one as opposed to the A. Yeah, whew. And the A also, the alcohol is still just punching you in the face here on this batch, where this one is way softer, definitely lighter. I like it easily much more on the nose here. Let's have a sip of the A120, see if those notes are still, you know, punching you in the face here. Wow, it's really a different experience. This one is very sweet. It's extremely sweet. A lot of that, it's almost like caramel, vanilla, brown sugar, peanut, Cracker Jack. I mean, it's good, but the lingering, those lingering notes of the alcohol, almost a slight bitterness to it, just really, you know, it just didn't bring that type of a wheater profile that I was expecting from this Larceny. Now, compared to the B5, the B520 is just, that is what a wheated bourbon should be, even a high proof one. This one, I think, could give a Weller a run for its money, because it's still sweet, but it's differently sweet than the A was. The A was just very sugary sweet, brown sugars, the caramels, vanillas, that peanut, the Cracker Jack type notes you were getting, but it was almost like over the top. And then you add that alcohol, how hot it drank. It just really didn't do it for me. Whereas this one, the B520 is just coming through with a lot of that wheat grain softness, the fruit. I mean, it's still sweet, but it's more layered here. You're getting more fruit, you're getting more vanilla, more caramel, more sweetness, that sweet almond, some spice to balance it out. It drinks a little bit softer than this one. I think this one is, if it keeps going this way, I'm hoping these are just gonna get better and better and farther away from what the A batch was. All right, guys, so real quick, I'm gonna add a couple drops of water to the B just to see what it does here. I'm gonna add, let's say, 5 drops of water. All right, so for those of you that want a good wheated bourbon, but you don't really wanna deal with 122.2 proof, it's a little high for you, you can always add some water to it. Let's try this one on the nose, see what the water did to it. Wow, brought out the fruit notes even more. Now there's more of an apricot peach thing going on here on the nose. Yeah, the wheated bourbon notes are really coming out. That wheat grain, that wheat flavor is really strong now. Yeah, it actually brightened up the fruits a little bit. It went from a dark fruit to more of a stone fruit type flavor profile. Now I'm getting, it went from like blackberries and cherries to now a little bit peaches, apricots. Let's go for a sip. Yeah, the water definitely softens it up a little bit. The sweet flavors come out, definitely a little bit more. Drinks even easier. Even when you added water to the A120, that burn was still there. The ethanol flavor was still there on the palate, whereas this one, it's not there. Add some water to it, or probably a nice ice cube. It's gonna open up really nicely. So price for this is about 60 bucks. Secondary market value puts this at about 100 to 120 bucks. Availability on this is okay, but improving. Remember, this is released 3 times a year, as I mentioned, but like Elijah Craig Barrel Proof, depending where you live, this could show up sooner or later. As far as value goes, for a barrel proof wheated bourbon, this still remains a high value considering there aren't that many available on the market not named Weller. Most Weller, as you know, are hard to find at a fair price, especially the full proof, which is a complete unicorn at this point. This is affordable and it's easy to find if you search around, and the prices so far seem to be keeping at MSRP for the most part. So now the big question, is this better than the A120 and do I recommend it? Yes, it is, and yes. For me, this has more classic wheated bourbon notes than the A120. It drinks a bit easier, as a wheater should. It's still high proof, but doesn't seem to leave that lingering burn like the A120 did. This is great balance, good price. Make this one a definite pickup if you like wheated bourbons. If you thought the A120 was good or okay, I think you'll be pleasantly surprised at the differences and improvements with the B520 and where Larceny Barrel Proof could be headed in the future. All right, guys, well, I hope you enjoyed this episode as we review the latest release for the Larceny Barrel Proof series, the B520. Hope you enjoyed it. If you did, hit that subscribe button below. Please hit that like button. If you haven't yet, follow me on Instagram, follow me on Twitter. Let me know if you've had this yet, if you've compared them, how you feel about the difference between the two. And as I always say, it's not about the whiskey, it's the people you share it with. So cheers, and I'll see you next time on The Mash and Drum. Take care, everybody.